Hi there. Let me know if you can hear me once you get here to this point. That would be awesome. And good afternoon, good morning, Australia. Good morning, California. And good evening to France. So nice to see you. Now, I have my microphone a little bit further back from me, so any confirmation on sound would be great. I don't like it when my mic picks up my inhaling, the breathing. So I'm trying to figure out where I should position it. It's a bit further away. Let me know if you can hear me clearly. Before we get going into this wonderful bloom show, it's amazing. Whew, we've had so many entries. It's just great to see all the variety. I'm excited to share it with you. And thank you to everybody that has awesome. Julian, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be able to say that, you know, for our first installment, hey, here, bottom right hand. Yes, this is what it looks like when the lights are on. I'm not entirely sure if you, if this is a good look. It's a bit irritating. Don't know if it's annoying. I suppose while I'm still on a small screen, it really doesn't matter that much. But when we get, you know, if I come up, I'm all pink. You would think it would make a great background lighting, but I do have a mirror in front of me that reflects. So we'll have to wait and see if that is going to be irritating. Just for a little bit, I wanted to show people, if they haven't ever seen my lights, if they come into the chat, this is what it looks like when I do have my installation up and running. It's been an extremely overcast, dark week. So I'm sure that they are appreciating a little bit of light as well. Right. Why is my backup here not working? What is going on? I need to see that we are okay. I can see that we're live. Julian has heard me loud and clear. Fantastic. Thank you so much for the feedback. I just want to make sure that should we lose connection, that I have some way to contact you. But it seems to be okay, luckily, happily. Anyway, what I was saying is that yay for the first installment of what I hope can in future grow to be a monthly installment of live stream where I showcase your blooms and talk about them. And if I have any advice, I can also give some care tips. But on top of that, it gives me a good perspective and a good picture of the different grow environments that you have. You know, because I can be in my little rut here of doing hybrid inside outside, and I can get lost a little bit with, you know, just a one-track mind, whereas this gives me some really good feedback because, spoiler alert, I'm a nosy background viewer. Just so, because it just gives me an idea of what we're dealing with when I see how beautiful these orchids bloom, what are the circumstances, and then I try to imagine what time of year are we talking about, where these blooms are coming from. So I'm very excited to be able to share that with you. Awesomeness. Now, I'm also glad that you're here on the replay. If you are joining on the replay, I appreciate that support as well very much. If you don't mind, just give this video a thumbs up on the replay during the stream. That would be greatly appreciated. And of course, just to finish off the housekeeping, do me a favor, give me a hype if you come on the replay. That means you need to give it a thumbs up first so that the hype feature will then appear for you. That'd be great. Every little helps. And yes, hypes are free of charge, which is always a nice way to be able to support the channel. Okie dokie. Now, this is my Rincolelia digbyana. We did start the stream out last week with her, but you know, I get to see her on the daily, and not many people get to see her on the daily. So I'm starting the stream out with her as well. She's still in bloom, as are my Sesquipedale has finished blooming, but my Crestwood Tomorrow Star is also still in bloom. Might feature those in our stream next week. But other than that, things are budding up beautifully on the patio. Oh, the Nobelies are going bananas. I've lost one spike to a locust, which was promptly dealt with on my Anselias. Justo when I was talking about it, 2 days later, I saw the culprit trying to get at my Stanhopea. I took care of it. So that one spike is the only casualty so far. Last year with the Nobilis, we had a beautiful show, but some of the buds were chomped away also thanks to locusts. Now, considering that Morocco last week had a locust plague coming through, I was expecting a lot more, but so far, touch wood, we're doing okay. It's been the one so far. Okie dokie. Right, so let me just remove my Digbiana here. She says, and I don't understand now why, oh, there it is. Okay, Restream has changed a little bit the interface from week to week. Hey, here's me, all pink. Okie dokie, we're gonna get rid of this screen and we'll start off, and these are in alphabetical order just for the simplicity of getting the folders up and running, not in order of how I received them, okay? And also I'm going to try and remember all the names as per how they came through on the email, but based on the YouTube account, just to make sure that I don't say something I shouldn't. And I hope that I can stick with it, because I'm starting to get used to your private names as well. And I don't want to slip up, seeing as this is, for example, on YouTube is Atomic Kitten. And this is something that I so appreciate as well, because I have lost a lot of orchids. So I get to see a lot of blooms that once upon a time graced the patio. So this is great. Anyway, yeah, the hairy pigs. They're gorgeous. Oh, by the way, speaking of hairy pigs, my golf green hair pig did bloom with beautiful blooms, but that happened during a time where there was absolutely no going outside, moving it outside. I didn't get any pictures of it at all. And the blooms, the spike grew, but they were quite bunched up and crunched up. So it wasn't like I missed out on any sensational footage. Let me get rid of the music now that we're sort of up and running. We don't want that. That's 2 minutes. That makes me feel like I'm yelling over it. Anyway, so yeah, it was great. It was nice to see, because last year the blooms did not come through. They sort of withered away in the sheath. I didn't get to see the golf green hair pig. So it's marginally different lighting situation this year. Thankfully, you know, up until we had our 6-8 weeks of doom and gloom, but it worked out. It was good to see. Orchid Ninja Bebe-san, it's good to see you. Hello, hello. Oh, by the way, summarize. All the summaries, be advised, you might get a link somehow in a form of communication from me. And if you want to accept that, then please do so. More, I will explain more, but as I have now seen summary in here, I just want to point that out, okay? And we'll see how that works out. You're my guinea pigs, and because the summaries are top tier in the memberships, I'm going to start with the summarize and then see if I can be diligent about it for the summarize, and then I will add more, okay? For now, it's a perk for summarize only. So be on the lookout. It's not spam. It's not a fluke, all right? And it has to do with YouTube. So that's just a heads up. Be on the lookout. Coincidentally, yesterday, somebody connected with me and I was like, how did you do that? Never mind, long story short, I am now connected into a feature that is in the test phase. That is why I don't want to roll it out to other tiers of Orchid Ninjas, because if it goes pear-shaped, I only need to apologize to 3. But if you want to be part of the test, let's say the test, the guinea pig stage, then please upgrade to the samurai tier and you will get a link as well. Anyway, so good to see you. Good morning, beautiful Bebe-san. Rightio, Atomic Kitten. Yes, well, this is always a treat when you get a zygote that is beautifully grown and obviously blooms the way a zygote should. I am absolutely impressed with this image. We can see the name on top. In this case, I could get the names into the picture itself because this email wasn't as heavily loaded. I'm going to do a little bit differently for other pictures. But anyway, so we have Galliopetalum, Arlene Armour Conching from Atomic Kitten. Now, at the first glance, when I looked at this bloom, I was like, Louisendorf. But no, they're so similar, but the variety, you know, is a bit different. Gorgeous. When I say about what I look for, just because, you know, my eyes do appreciate the blooms, but I also look to. So we've got an indoor growing environment here for now, depending on what time of year it is, with a sheer curtain. And look at the lushness of these leaves. It reminds me of another YouTuber that is Anna Vogue. Gia, she and her zygos, they just do spectacularly as well. So absolutely gorgeous. And it seems to be zygo season for Atomic Kitten because look, how can you not? Isn't this amazing? Isn't this amazing? This is Zygopedilum Debbie DeMayo, Honolulu baby. So DeMayo, I'm going to say it that way. It could be DeMello, but Debbie DeMayo. Beautiful as well. So there's some serious consistency and zygote talent going on here. Love it. Absolutely love this so much. What I can see here a little bit is that we may be growing in organic media. So that is also awesome. I mean, if you know the fragrance of zygos, you will also know that, well, scratch and sniff would be ideal in this situation because oh, spicy, cinnamon, fragrantly sugared, and just yum. Just yum. So, Michelle Fiucarino, it has been ages. I am so happy to see you. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for taking a moment to join us here. I really appreciate that. Just one moment. Michelle says, I saw you were live. Oh, that is really sweet. That is so sweet. I have been, always on the lookout for you since I've seen your sensational unicum. Yes, goals since your unicum came through. That's where I now connect when I see mine, and I'm like, I wonder what Michelle's is doing. I hope you're doing well. Hope your orchids are doing well, and you're already having a great Saturday. Okay, we have one more beautiful zygo from Atomic Kitten. I mean, right? Ah, yes, and here we have bark, organic media, maybe a mix of sphagnum moss in there, as we can see on the lower part of the pot. Awesomeness. Ah, they clearly love it. Again, super clean leaves. Oh, the envy. I have serious zygo envy here. Wonderful. Just wonderful. What a spectacular sight. I could see 2 spikes. And then there's always, no matter how you position your orchids, there may be some that open upside down, light influence. You can be as steady as can be, trying to get them all opening the same way. And here we have a few that are a little bit like, yeah, no, we're going to do it our way. And this is Zygopedilum Advance Australia. I find this just gorgeous. Now, again, it's the first installment, which I hope is something that we can do monthly, but that depends on you sending in your blooms. I don't know. Having said that, if you send blooms to me and you still have your own channel where you post videos, the channel links are in the description as per, just to give you guys not just a shout out, but also make your channel available and easily accessible. So there's that. I am not familiar that Atomic Kitten posts any videos. If that were the case, then my bad if I haven't subscribed to her channel, because that is normally what I do. And Michelle Fiucarino says, my unicum bloomed itself to death, but I'm on the lookout for a new one. You know what? That's what I was afraid of last year with mine, because mine had 2 canes, and the second one wasn't as long as the first one, but I did cut the blooms off very prematurely because I thought this is not going to go well. And sure enough, this winter mine is struggling because it just dropped all the leaves. However, I have to say across the board with my winter resting dendrobiums, they did drop their leaves. There could be other issues, whatever involved, but I had a feeling when mine was blooming, and it was gorgeous, as I can imagine yours was. I thought this is, especially with their bloom duration. And, they still have to make those new growths as well. So in a very short period of time with an extended bloom duration that unicums have, there's a lot of energy coming and needed, but their root growth doesn't justify or, match everything that's going on at the same time as it's blooming. So I was like, yeah, this is beautiful, but it's scaring me. I cut mine off prematurely. So I hope that you will find another one. And well, I'm sorry that you lost your previous one. So still, you are my unicum guru, and I shall continue to strive to do what you have achieved with your previous one. Okie dokie, we're going to move on swiftly to the next folder and see what Bruce Stern, Orchid Ninja Bruce Stern, also has his Phalaenopsis in bloom. And I think it's always fantastic, seeing as mine don't rebloom. Oh, there we go. Nina, do it this way. This is how you do it. There we go. Now, it was very kind of Bruce to already put the names into the different images. So that was simples. We have Foyer. Now, Foyer featured in a video of celebrating subscribers' first-time bloomers. Hey, Atomic Pink, good morning. I have just finished covering your amazing Zygopedilans, so thank you so much for sending them through. I appreciate it. If you want to rewind and see where I pull up your pictures and we talk about them and show them, then please go ahead and do so. And, well, I'll be here for a little while, but because boy, oh boy, I hope you're doing well. Thank you so, so much for being so kind as to share your amazing zygos with us. Sensational growing, awesomeness. And speaking of sensational growing, listen. If you've been on my channel for a while, you will have seen a lot of blooms, but you will have seen damaged leaves for circumstances sometimes beyond my control and sometimes because I missed them and got to them too late. Blooms are beautiful. The orchid may look a little bit sad or ratty as long as they're blooming. We grow in different environments, and even if there's a pseudobulb that has been chomped by a monkey, but it is in bloom, the orchid is still, this is not a competition, okay? Please do not feel like, oh, my orchids don't look the part. Well, neither do mine, okay? My Patricia van Pruyenbroek is amazingly out there in blooms, but all the leaves are spotted with a fungus. So you'll see that too eventually. We'll have a look-see. And so please don't think that, no, my leaves look terrible. Well, take it from me. So do mine, but my orchids still bloom, and that's the most important thing. So don't feel shy. Anyway, so Foyer featured in First Time Bloom celebration of an Orchid Ninja, but also in general. How do you feel when your orchid blooms for the first time? And at the time, Bruce was a novice, according to him, a novice. Now I call him, he's not a novice anymore. But having said that, this is Foyer's second blooming. So that is also always something that, can I do it again? Can I repeat that, etc.? So there you go. We have a few more blooms on Foyer. Now, this one is a new one for us. Well, new one for Bruce as well, but I haven't seen this one. And this is Marlene, he calls them. So, of course, these are all no IDs, but Bruce has given his Phalaenopsis specific names. And Marlene leans more towards a mini Phalaenopsis. But yeah, gorgeous. Love the presentation of this spike. And who doesn't like a spotted bloom? Which we have a lot more coming. Oh, sorry. Okay. Rightio, and Marsha. We have seen Marsha before. Marsha has also, I think, if I'm not mistaken, doubled in bloom count, maybe. I'm not sure. Not entirely sure. But anyway, rebloom of our beautiful Marsha that also featured in that video. This is a wonderful, wonderful feedback as well, because if somebody entrusts me with their questions and I sort of give them a device and then it happens, apart from saying, well, that's because of you, no, because you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink, right? So at least if something was done and it works out from a distance without actually being there, then I love this. This is, a lot of things are also feedback when I see the results. It's amazing. So thank you very much, very, very much, Bruce, for submitting your blooms. I have to say, I am digging it. I also have to get your folders back up and running, seeing as my hard drive ordeal has never been resolved for other reasons. So let me know, what do you think? You know what? I didn't put any lipstick on. Excusez-moi, and while I do that, let me know what you think with the pink lighting in the background. Does it make you feel a little bit ill? Just let me know. Not that it makes that much of a difference, but maybe a teeny tiny bit, especially with the pink. Maybe I should also take a little drinky before I resume. Okay, unmute after you swallow. Okie dokie. And we're back. So let me know if that makes you ill. And if you want me to switch it off, I'll switch it off and I'll just be working with the front light here. Righty-ho. And the next one that I did, these are all now blooms that were actually shown, should have been shown in our monthly Q&A, but I wanted to make a completely different section for these kind of features. Instead of making the Q&A so long, keep it within a certain time frame that is also easier to digest when it plays. Maybe a white front light would make it less pink. I have one, but yes, Julian, I have a mirror that is surrounded. The mirror is for reflection, all right, back in the day, so that everything it reflects that comes in back onto the orchids. But it is also surrounded by a white light. So the mirror, I mean, you can't see my hands, but it is huge. It's not like a ring light or anything like that, which reflects badly on the lenses of the glasses. I don't want anything like that, because you know, no matter where I move, yeah, you'll see my frames highlight, but not the rings on my glasses. It's just that the back is a little bit more stronger. So, but tell me, is it irritating? I really want to know. I'm very curious. I can switch them off. I just want, they're just kind of like for demonstration purposes, because I always talk about it, but I've never really shown it. So if it's irritating, I will switch them off. Feedback is key here. Right, so Danya has had these submitted for the, you know, and I was going to show the blooms for the monthly Q&A. Having said that, I'm separating that out just so that everything is a bit more concise, to the subject, honoring, celebrating you, who you are, what you've sent me, as opposed to mixing it all together into one kind of a stream and making it just drag on and on and on. Time is precious. Okay, alrighty, well, just give me a moment. It's not like I'm trying to hide. Give me a moment while I navigate myself over. Does that make it better? To me, it looks better. It doesn't make me look like I'm something that I don't know. To me, it looks better. But anyway, right. This is a no ID to my understanding. The next image has a tag on it. So I'm not entirely sure which kind of an Oncidium alliance this one is. But she sure is pretty. I love the bronze coloring. So this came, oh my goodness, does it have a date? Oh, yeah, back in February 21st. Mea culpa. Anyway, this is from Orchid Ninja Danya. Sun over yonder in Bella Italia. That reminds you of hot chocolate, doesn't it, just? Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, stop. I didn't make myself any, because by the time I get moving and talking, it's going to be cold chocolate. So arrête. And the next one is, she left us a name tag because, oh my goodness, look at this orange. This is Rothara, RTH, Rothara Young Min Gold Mickey. This is just like beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It's not in a blacklit blur. Got it. Yes, that's true. When I see other people with their live streams and they have backlights on, etc., I'm like, wow, how do they do it? But it's not like it's a general light. They have just, ambient lighting. I don't know. I thought maybe mine would work the same way, but it doesn't. All right, get your coffee. We'll be here for a little while. So, Youngmin Gold Mickey. I can tell you pretty much where this orchid was sourced from in Europe. At an orchid nursery, I would rather not put on a public stream because I have like to this day, yes, I hold grudges. Don't forget. So if you have any questions as to if you're in Europe and you want this orchid, let me know in the comments and I'll put the name of the nursery in the comments. I am not putting it out verbally on a stream. No way. You almost bought that one. Okay. Okay. Well, there you go. She's gorgeous. She would be something that would remind me of Sunset Valley orchids. Something that they would stock. Mini, compact, floriferous, bloomers. And that just sort of pops in my mind when I see it. And then we have a mini phalaenopsis. Now, basically, yes, the mini phalaenopsis is out of focus, but I'm going to include it anyway because we have a gorgeous little orchid here on the right side. This was the orchid in question when Danya came into our Q&A session and asked about her buds blasting on her Holcoglossum rupestre. I remember correctly, that's what this one is. And I couldn't figure it out. She sent me pictures. I was going to address this in that stream. Completely forgot, even though I had put the picture on my desktop. And so it goes. Anyway, that was the purpose of this video. That's why the little phalaenopsis there is not in focus. But I wanted to show it anyway because we can see the size of her Holcoglossum. And basically the consensus for the bud blast, according to my perception from what I see based on what she told me and her environment, that nothing changes and she has a steady, consistent temperature. And unless it's a draft, blah, 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 blah. It turns out, in my perception, it was a lack of calcium because my Darwinara blue charm has similar behavior patterns. When it wants to bloom, which is usually during the winter, I have to reduce my fertilizer concentrations very, very much so that there's no salt buildup in the pot. And also, as our monopodials grow, we can get into a nice little cushy rhythm. 100 parts per million of this, 100 parts per million of that. And we do that for 2 or 3 years because our orchids grow slow. And then one day, we wake up and our orchid actually has grown and now requires more nutrients in order to perform and spike. So pretty much that is my conclusion here. But this orchid also reminds me so much of my whole Vanderglossum Alexandra that I lost as well because the blooms are so dainty, so delicate, so they look like porcelain and they are so fragrant. Mine were, which I don't have the feedback from Danya-san, but mine were fragrant like grapes. Beautiful, like the grape juice that you get or grape jelly that you get. Well, at least in the United States, that kind of just and never mind about needing to be up close to that tiny little bloom. I'm telling you, just walking past it, you knew she was in bloom. Sensational orchid, and I must say I am extremely sad that I've lost mine. And it is going to be back in the collection if circumstances change. All right? That is one of mine that I really would like to have back. Just like with the Pomilla. Gone but not forgotten. Not in this case at all. So thank you so much, Danya, for sharing these blooms. And now they have been included in our bloom show extravaganza because you've made it happen. Now, next up is Joe. Joe has a channel. He posts his own videos. So, the fact that he is prepared to share his blooms with us here on my channel is greatly appreciated. And Joe's channel is linked in the description. So go check out his channel if you're not familiar with Joe. He's very laid back, not like me. I'm a little bit like, I overthink things, not Joe. And I appreciate that quality in some way because it teaches me a lot, because I'm always like thinking, what about this? What about that? And Joe just grows orchids and gets them to bloom. Say no more. And then he posts his blooms and what he does on his channel. So go check out Joe. Thank you for sending these, and thank you for letting us celebrate with you the first time bloomer of your Dendrobium kingianum. Yes, sir. Amazing. My kingianum is in bloom as well. Beautiful blooms. The leaves look terrible. Notice a pattern there, but this is what a leaf should look like. And when you see the blooms in my kingianum, you're just going to go, yeah, I'm not buying it. Well, she's not for sale. We're going to continue with this orchid in order to see if we can one day stop all the spotting. The same with the Patricia one. But hey, they're blooming and it's amazing. Now, I'm not sure whether Joe's, being a first-time bloomer, is already fragrant, but mine has a wonderful fragrance of like honeysuckle with a little hint of burnt sugar that brings the fragrance from less sweet to a little bit more weighty. Delicious. It's not like sickly sweet. Absolutely. A yum mix, I must say. So congratulations. And then this one. Oh, look at the leaves. Look at the color. And look at the color of this tenuifolia bloom. My goodness. We know that there are certain variations of blooms that sometimes they're more red, more deep, more burgundy. Sometimes they're a little bit more on the orange side. All could be part of how the light works, how much light, less light can somehow influence a little bit the vibrancy of the colors of our blooms. And this one just tells you it's loving its life, completely digging it. Now, let me get to a little bit of a fun fact, because thank you so much. This is a fun fact from Joe regarding the name Hopia. I hope I'm saying that correctly, which is Hawaiian for coconut cream pie. Why am I looking to my side trying to get my gray cells to work? When I took a screenshot of his notes, Hopia is the name for a coconut cream pie in Hawaii. Well, if that doesn't make sense. Hello, pencil shavings. Hello. It's good to see you. I hope your day is already going beautifully for you. It's really nice that you take a moment to come and see and check out what other ones are doing and how other orchids are blooming and who was kind enough to submit them to us so that we can have a little bit of a gawk and talk here. Pie, I know. When I read that, I was like, oh, what have I got in my kitchen that I could somehow... It's like when you said hot chocolate, I was like, don't, anything tendency towards the sweet. And I'm like an ant. I'm like, I wish I could scuttle and source it immediately. So yeah. And I love that little fun fact on the side. Honestly, I've learned something new. Hopia. And if I mispronounce that, I am very, very sorry. You are always welcome to correct me in the comments with some phonetical pronunciation so that next time I get it right. And then this one. It's pretty much what we saw previously with that spotting from Bruce, but we have a little bit more pink behind it. Oh, it's so cute. Great pictures, by the way, Joe. Absolutely stunning pictures. I love it. And it's a no ID, but you know what? What's in a name? I know the orchid doesn't care, and neither do I. So that would be Joe. Once again, thank you, Joe. And remember to check out the description. I put the channel link there. The last time I did that, I said I would do that. It took me weeks and weeks to get it done. Not having electricity was one of my excuses. It's my go-to when things, I don't have electricity. Anyway, now we're going to go to Julian's son, who submitted some pictures. Just want to make sure, because it's been a while. This folder should have also been shared. I have envy. Sunnyside. Hello, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for taking a moment to come in and say hi. It's so nice. Hey. Hope your Saturday is already treating you the way you deserve to be treated. All bouncy and such, and sparkly and shiny and bright, the way you light up a room or my mind when I see your name. That, like that. Okay, enough. It's enough to make a ya blush. Okay, right. Now, if Julian has his coffee, I need feedback. I need feedback because this is sensational. First of all, let's share. So this is kind of where I thought I am so glad I forgot that I could do this at the end of a Q&A. I am so glad because when this when this came through, I was like, what is happening here and what kind of gorgeousness am I looking at? Okay, first of all, look at that mug. Or the cash pot. I don't think it's a cash pot. I think it's a mug. I need some feedback. I love that mug. Oh my goodness. It is so up my alley. I know it looks sinister, but it is so up my alley. Yes, I can imagine this is Dillanatii. Sorry, I didn't put names here. This is the Paphiopedilum Dillanatii. Isn't it beautiful? This one, even the mug sunny side reminds me of La Donna. She would love this. Anyway, so first of all, it's a printed mug. I cannot even begin to think you printed this yourself. I'm not a betting woman, but I have a feeling you did. It is absolutely stunning, Julian. I love it. And also the fact that everything's on a black background. I know with a darker mug, you would think la, 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 la. But the whole picture is like, hold on a minute, what is happening here? Now, you think that is, what about this? I mean, this takes it, these are my orchids. This takes it to the next level. So, and look, AI has its place, as far as I'm concerned, in our current society. As with everything, we humans can abuse something or we can use something. And if this was the original image, then taken and enhanced by AI, you nailed it. I mean, even the colors, my colors have always been turquoise, fuchsia, turquoise, fuchsia, and that metallic blue. I've had logos, everything with these colors, and it just hit me. I have an oil painting to my left called The Path to Paradise, and it is these colors in a swirl. Maybe I'll take a picture of this one day and I'll put it on my community post. This is beautiful. And I'm not trying to, yeah. Anyway, it's beautiful. So Julian says, I did, but the printer does much of the work. Yes, of course. Yes, I know. A printer does much of the work, but your mind, the way you take something and then put it together and then to get an image and then to work a computer does much of the work, but it's the creativity, the execution afterwards. That's what I see. That's what I see. I love it. Absolutely love it, but we're not done yet. Let's go to the Kingianum. No, berry odor. My bad. Oof. Cautiously, my bad. This is Dendrobium berry odor. Very much like the Kingianum, has a smell of, oh, by the way, I don't know if your Dillanatii is fragrant. Sometimes Dillanatii can be fragrant and they would be a little bit on the rosy, sugary, rosy kind of fragrance. So I'm not sure. I have never had a fragrant Dillanatii. But Well, mine isn't anyway. I just know that they can be. And this one is very similar to the fragrance of the Kingianum. Very much sweeter though. It doesn't have that heavier note of burnt molasses coming through. This one is much more leaning towards a honeysuckle kind of fragrance. And did you do something similar with this one? No, you took the Delinati and did you? I can scroll. No, okay. Right. This one, so celebration, well done. You've got your Lycasti Thai Punch or Tea Punch to bloom again. I told you in the past, mine is gone, but this is amazing. I am now going to just assume that this pot is also, this cash pot is also one that you had printed. Got the wall like the tower, and I see a pattern. I see a theme here. The dragon with the tower, huh? Something, I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching far and wide now. So this is Lycasti Thai Punch, also beautiful. I love the image as well, the contrast, but I'm not trying to, analyze every image, but when I see something like this with the lighting and then there's a little bit of a water droplet, it's just, credit where credit is due. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And then we have our Schilleriana. My spike hasn't aborted yet, so I'm hopeful. The 3 leaves still look okay. Sort of on the fence with the oldest one, and then I'll be left with 2, que no me gusta. I'm ready to cut my spike off before it blooms out at a moment's notice. But here we have another little stunner of a Schilleriana, which has a beautiful fragrance of roses. And it's not just a roses fragrance. It has a bit of a fruity side note to it, and it is intense. Not headache-inducing intense, but room-filling inducing fragrance. Like it's an air freshener that you don't have to plug in. It's a delightful, pleasant, I would say charming fragrance. It's just, if I say yum, I'd be pushing it. Yum is more Neophonetia falcata. It's divine. How about that? And then this one, it's printed as well, that tower mug. Okay, got it. Now this one I bet has since bloomed out more. This is the Pinkton Bronze Age, which I've also got, but I have to tell you, and I think I told you in the email and I'll tell everybody else, mine has never, ever produced 2 spikes, nor has it branched. So you can see the potential of what light can do, the difference when it comes to having the correct temperatures, etc., etc. You can actually fertilize accordingly, then your results will be so much more impressive. So while my Pinkton Bronze Age has bloomed beautifully in the past, not recently, but it has never done this. This is sensational. This is absolutely sensational. Now, I can only imagine what the spikes must look like now. Look at the branching on this. It's amazing. And usually you get about 3 months if you allow your orchid to go the full distance, 3 to 4 months of this one in bloom. Amazing. Absolutely stunning. So I just want to show you that, but we'll go into the closer lookup of the bloom while I'll check the comments. The Schilleriana might have a better display had I forgotten to water it for 3 months last autumn. Oh, okay. Oh, there's that. Julian is also very honest, which is a wonderful attribute. I love it. It happens that sometimes, people buy their orchids in bloom and say, look what I did. It's like, yeah, it doesn't work that way. Meanwhile, they're satisfying, but not that satisfying. And then Julian says, well, the Pinkton took 2 years before it decided itself to bloom again. Okay, gives me hope. Gives me hope that maybe that's what's going on with mine. I doubt it. I very much doubt it, but at least it gives me hope. And at least I have it still, which we can't say for many of my other summer bloomers. The colors are astounding. When you see this orchid in the sunshine, sunny side, I'm telling you, it lights up with gold and bronze and rose gold, like pixie dust glitter. It's a delight for the eyes. Mine isn't fragrant, so I can't vouch for any fragrance. If Julian has a fragrant one, let us know in the chat as well. But what happens with this, or that was my dog's ears, okay? What happens with this one, and I feel bad because, anyway, this is about the subscriber balloons. I'm not going to show mine. But just imagine the sparkles, the crystalline texture of the petals light up and reflect gold, a little bit of old rose, vintage rosé, and bronze, and it just, the whole bloom, it's amazing. I managed to get some images once upon a time, but it's so difficult to photograph the beauty of this bloom. Amazing. The green underline at the tip of the petals. Where was this? Well, the Pinkton took 2 years to, and the green underline at the tip of the petals. The green underline, let me zoom in. What are you seeing that I didn't see? The green, oh, they have the tips. Ah, yes, the little tails at the end. Yes. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And that mug, well. Just out of interest, because I'm a little bit of a geek like that, how long did it take for your mug to print? So just because when I Google things, I'm not entirely sure if 3D printing takes a long time for an item like that, or, that'd be great for me anyway. If you don't mind. And then we have a folder. Sit back, relax, because this could be a stream all by itself. From Robert Forrest, who 18 hours printing, then you have to go out and define some of the details, I guess, that you have to sort of clean up some of the edges. Not entirely sure. Again, total novice here. Debbie, hey, how are you doing? Good morning, beautiful. Would have been faster with a different material though. All right, interesting. We're just on 3D printing. If you just want to scrub back just a little bit, you're going to see the most amazing dragon cash pot that was created by Julian all by himself using his printer and then doing the finishing touches. If you just want to, that's what we're talking about right now. Absolutely sensational. Can't say too much about it. Absolutely sensational. Okie dokie. Now, let me just make sure that I'm going to do this the right way. Because this is a big folder and I tried to get to it in such a way that I could coordinate blooms, even though I may need to go back to a screenshot to check their names. But if I fail, bear with me, okay? We'll be jumping a little bit. But oh boy. Now, do I start there? Let me just, I don't think these will all open up at once. So let me just make sure that I know we're up to until where we're going to open up the blooms. And if I make a little bit of a mistake and we get some repeats, etc., then, just know that amateur hour has kicked in. That's it. And there's no harm actually sometimes to repeat some things, but I do try to make it a little bit more, streamlined also, so that your viewing isn't me jumping around looking for things and wasting your time. Alrighty, so we have a Leptotis bicolor here. This is Robert Forrest, and he grows his orchids mainly in an enclosed case. And from what I can picture, that is like a huge aquarium, and then it's equipped with, as you can see, grating, little things for mounts, etc., etc. And it's completely climate controlled by himself, where the lighting is also controlled as per hours per day, depending on the seasons, etc., including humidity controlled. Now, that, of course, will also sometimes reflect in the images because you're looking through a casing, because at the time, maybe the casing shouldn't be open, but the bloom is doing what it's doing. But this is a Leptotis bicolor, of which I don't have mine anymore. But it is gone but not forgotten. It's in that category. Miss Leah, it's good to see you. Hey, I hope you're already having a fabulous day. Thank you so much for taking a moment to stop by. I appreciate that. Really, really do appreciate that. Thank you. You stay safe, please. Just a little, yeah, this is my island where my mind can stay calm, but notwithstanding all the ongoings, stay safe, please. Yes, okay, so Leptotus bicolorum, we'll see more of her because when I was saving these, I hadn't quite gotten the little system in place that we are going to be doing. Now, this one, I'm going to have to go to my own little screenshot to be able to tell you the name. Do you know what? I'm wearing glasses. The print is large. I still have to open the screenshot. Good grief. Harayala odor. Wait, I'm going to type that in because thank you so much. I appreciate this. Thank you, Wingman. Thank you so much for this super chat. I love you back. I love you back, but not because of that, but because you're the wind beneath my wings. Thank you. Since 2020. See, I can tell you my orchid names because I've been practicing them for years, and you get one like this. It is a tongue twister. That's the one we're seeing on the screen right now. Beautiful little miniature. Beautiful. Thank you, Robert. Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful little miniature. And to my understanding, quite difficult to get to bloom. And the blooms are tiny. And I mean, no joke when I say tiny. They're not easy to photograph either because, not that big of a screen, because the detail is insane. So I can go back. Oh, these little yellow ones are amazing as well. But I want to try and scroll you to where you can see the bloom of this. I've got this as a tongue twister today. I cannot say it. Normally I could, but today no. Harayala odorata, okay? So the detail in this is so difficult to capture, but you can see that frilly lip. We love shredded looking lips on orchid blooms, at least I do. I do like a clean bloom, but when one like this comes up, I mean, this one has to really fight hard to be noticed by the pollinators. So speaking of pollinators, is that a seed pod? What is going on in your case? I thought they were secure. What are they doing? They're doing the nookie in your case. I hope I didn't say too much. Adult friendly. What is this? Your case is supposed to be protected from these kinds of shenanigans, unless this is a bud. Let me know. When I saw this, I was like, okay, what is happening here? Thank you so much, Sunnyside, for that $4.99 super chat. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Oh, it's the bud. Okay. You see, dirty mind. Never mind. But scratch that. It is a bud. Everything is under control in Robert's case. In his orchid case. This is getting worse. I better stop. Oh my goodness. Excuse the innuendos that were not meant to be innuendos. Now, I know you can send me the name of this one, but seeing as you're here, do me a favor, please. The last time you sent me this, I did have the name. That hard drive, I can't access it anymore. I can't read, it doesn't read for whatever reason, even though it mounts, but it won't read. This is not getting good. This is not good. I'm talking tech language now. Thank you. YouTube censorship. This is tech language for hard drives, okay? They either mount or they don't. Mine mounts, but I can't read. Enough. Okay. But this one is also sent to me a while ago. I'm glad I've got this back because this is a tiny little miniature. The blooms are almost like, I don't care the size of my orchid. This is me. It's like the whole bloom is the size of a leaf and wider than a leaf. It's amazing. And you get more of them, and all of a sudden, the orchid becomes just blooms. It's wonderful. And I love the fan shape here as well. These are very, very difficult, in my opinion, to grow unless they've got the humidity and the light and the airflow, because all these tiny little nooks and crannies in these leaves, the minute that some water sits in there for a little bit too long, they can rot. So absolutely kudos to Robert, because when I saw this, I was like, Dem's loving that case. You can see that Robert had to really zoom in. I would say not even a thumb, the size of a thumb for the blooms. I could be wrong. But as the owner of this orchid is in the chat, and if he's not too busy with other things, then he can always correct us. Sensational. Now, some people will say and look at orchids and say, what's the point of growing this when the blooms are so tiny? Well, we love our big blooms, shouty blooms, bright colors. We love them all. We love them all. Here we've got something that is so challenging. And when it performs and it does this, it is so rewarding. And usually we skip past the little ones unless you know what you're looking at. Then it's the little ones where you go, what? You do it like a double, whiplash look. This is great. Anyway, just saying, this is great. I love it. I love it. Mounted on sphagnum moss. Amazing. Oh, look at this. Better. It just gets better. Look. She looks like a little oncidium, but if I remember correctly, this is like an epidendrum. If I remember, it's like an epidendrum, something or other. And I mean, this not only is it blooming on all the fans, but we've got a spike over here. Amazing. Personally, I would love the challenge, but I know that I'm not doing the orchid any favors just because, oh, I'm growing this. No, growing is one thing, and growing it over an extended period of time, etc., that's quite a different story. Because remember, when we get our orchids in new, if we get them in somewhat decent conditions, which they should be, they will come with a lot of energy and vibrancy and health based on where they were grown. Now, the opposite can be true. They can be plucked from the wild and they look like something the cat dragged in backwards, which is no bueno. We don't want that, but it can happen. So we get the orchids new and then they will bloom for us. And we think, yay, I've got this orchid to bloom. And what we tend to forget is that our orchids come with at least 12 months of stored conditions, usually after shipping, maybe a repot, maybe not a repot, but they've been at the nursery with ideal conditions and they store all of that up. Then they get shoved in a box and then to us. And then eventually, maybe 3 to 4 weeks, maybe 4 months, they will bloom for us. And we're like, great, I know this, like kudos to me. And then we forget that maybe our conditions are a little bit different and suddenly the orchid doesn't perform as well. Well, that is because now she's in an environment, has bloomed and starts to weaken because we don't have it right. That's when the learning curve starts. That. And usually if we get a near blooming size orchid, we actually have maybe instead of near, our near is a year to 2, maybe 3 years for it to bloom until we figure out exactly the balance of what is the light requirement, when is it even going to rest in my conditions, even though it's not? So this is something where when a tiny little orchid like this arrives in a collection to do what it's doing for Robert, I have to say chapeau. I have to. It's stunning. In a roundabout way, all that being said, nice. Gigi, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for taking a moment to jump in and say hi. And then here we've got back to Leptotis bicolor, and this is a miniature as well. And I would say not as difficult to grow as the one that we saw before, the little yellow one that I started with Epidendrum but that's just me. Not sure if my memory serves me well, and I don't know the ideal name. But this one is the Leptopus bicolor, and these blooms are always a little bit shy. So once the bud opens, of course, they still have a little bit more that they can spread out. It's very difficult to photograph these blooms because they're always a little bit closed. And, you know, you have to do some kind of Cirque du Soleil contortions, like, you know, from down and up. And I don't know, very difficult to photograph. What I like about, and I've always liked about Robert's Leptotus, is that they have this blush of pink. Now you'll see a lot of bicolors that are just white with that very bright magenta lip, and it's delicious, but delicious as in should smell like vanilla. But I did appreciate this blush of pink always on his variety. Absolutely stunning. Also, very, very small little blooms. And fun fact on Leptotus bicolor is that the vanilla, if you can spare, let's say you have a big one, very, very big one, and you can remove the blooms, you've got yourself a vanilla spice in your coffee or your tea, because that is what they also have been used for in the past. They are, they do make things taste like vanilla. So there's that. Thank you, Judy, very much for the number 8. I appreciate that. Thank you. All righty, let me go before I get carried away and let you have a look at this one. This one doesn't need a name. I know it. Oh, I want it so bad. Oh, anyway, Robert says it helps, though, having them all in one spot to care for them. No, that's true. That's true, but you still have to do it, right? You know? I mean, we do try to make our little growing experiences more efficient and whatever, but you still got to go around and do it. Yeah, even like for cookies and baking or chocolate milk or vanilla chocolate, vanilla sugar, those blooms would do it. Very expensive, even more expensive than the generic Madagascar vanilla, which is also an orchid. Just throwing that out there just in case somebody doesn't know. But the vanilla pod, etc., is the seed pod of an orchid, of the vanilla orchid, the vanilla vine. Despite that being so expensive, you do that with Leptotus bicolor blooms, and you're talking you're talking gold leaf kind of prices if you were to use that in your desserts. So this is Diacattleya chantilly lace twinkle. My goodness, my goodness. I know when you got this orchid, you were so happy, and I am so happy to see this. Beautiful, beautiful bloom. Now, she's a medium-sized grower. She's not one of the large ones, but look at the amount of blooms that this orchid has. And she arrived maybe a year, 2 years ago. Time flies when you're having fun, wingman, so I'm not entirely sure. But she's like one of the new arrivals in my memory when it comes to your collection. And she bloomed. And oh, look at the leaves as well on this one. Absolutely stunning. Gigi says, I'm so excited to take my indoor plants out for fresh air and vitamin D. Yes, right? And I'm so excited that even my outdoor plants will hopefully not struggle as much, and I can finally get to some fungus treatment because, I can't do it while it's cold. I can see the spots. I need to do something about my fungus spots that are coming up. But with the cold, I can't do it. I can't leave dampness on my leaves. And then the ones that had fungus, and well, those leaves have already dropped off, but the ones that I have left, if I could just treat them, and then it rains, what's the point? So yes, even I'm with you, never mind, even my outdoor orchids let it warm up. Today, we only have single digits, like just a little in the 48 degrees Fahrenheit. For us, that's about 7, 8 degrees Celsius. We're still in the single digits in Celsius. It's horrible. It's horrible. Oh, anyway, I'm looking at we're only in the first week of March, but I'm saying now 5 weeks to go. Who's counting? Julian Sun, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. All this goes towards helping to save the patio. Thank you. I appreciate it very, very much. Mwah. Merci beaucoup. Cattleya. I called it Diacatlia. Okay, Caulocatlia chantilly lace is a compact grower and has bloomed on every new growth, fairly new on the market. It's new? Oh, fairly new. Fairly. Okay, in the orchid world, that could be 15 years old, considered fairly new. Don't quote me. I just threw a number out there. 74 here. Nice. Nice. Oh my goodness. So you must be having some tropicals that you want to get out there. 74 is for me already pretty I'm already doing cartwheels around the patio at 74. So oh, and it's growing for you like a weed. Oh, hey, why please. And Robert has the floor, and I'm meaning this. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Robert has the floor, the same with his twinkle that doesn't stop blooming, constantly in bloom, twinkle, twinkle, twinkle. Kidding. I am, I love you. I just like to tease a little bit sometimes. It's like, how do I express what I'm reading without being a little bit like jealous? Yeah, she is beautiful. Can you tell me, does she have the bicornutum fragrance? Does she come with the bicornutum fragrance, or is she not fragrant for you? Question. Because I had one too, actually. One had a rotten pseudobulb and then promptly showed itself with fusarium, and the other one had fusarium outright. So I never got mine to bloom. But if she has a bicornutum, hint of a bicornutum fragrance, there should be a little bit of rose vanilla, if I don't forget my bicornutum fragrance. Beautiful. So for 3 years, okay, new in our hobby is relative, Robert, okay? When we're talking about plant section that has been around for millennia, hybridizing has only been around maybe for 110, 120 years, if that. And then we have hybridizing coming thick and fast. I would say new is 15 years as well. But then I'm going to just say she's older than 3 years on the market in this form of a hybrid, because I got mine back in 2018 when the first orchids of this collection arrived on the patio. That's when I had mine. So we're already going now 5 years or 7 years. Goodness me. Like I said, time flies. But for me, a new hybrid is also, if I see something like 2003, I'm like going, oh, that's new. Because in the orchid world, it is, taken how long it actually takes to get a hybrid onto market. It's pretty new. No scent from your Oncidiums. Okay, wait, whoa. Yeah, are we going ahead? Oh, no, we're going to skim over these. Oh, because I almost missed these. Yes, I'm glad I'm actually scrolling here. Well, we're going to go back, but now we have an image that's just gives it to you all, including water drops and everything. From the Haruela. It's not working for me today. Beautiful. This is a money shot, in my opinion. Even you can see the fine little hairy details on the lip. Not just the shredded effect, but the little hairy extensions there, whatever. It looks like a little caterpillar sticking out. Amazing. Amazing. Absolutely love this. Nice. And some of the Hareales, if I'm not mistaken, they actually are the little bumblebee. Yeah? Isn't that like a common name for one of them? It's a ground orchid. Maybe I'm mixing up the habanarias. I'm mixing them up. Forget it. Scratch that. Habanarias are like the bumblebee. They are a ground orchid. They are terrestrial. They are not an epiphyte. Okay, so there's more from Robert, though, if you would like to hang out. That was just a trailer teaser. Let me make sure that I don't double up on you, so I don't waste your time. But I know that my folder won't open everything at once. Alrighty, now, this is where I started to categorize just to be on the safe side. Let me see if it'll open all of these, because then we can get into the P, the letter P. Okay, it won't. but we'll start with this one, with this one. Oof. And yeah, off-freeze, that's what it is. Thank you, Julian. Yep, that's the one that I'm thinking of. Yep. All righty, this one. Name, please. If this is an OID, that's fine. If you have a name, amazing. An Orchid Ninja, his name is Bob, over in the United States, had a similar one in bloom with a little bit more, depending on the lighting, a little bit more richer in color and depth, but it reminds me so much of this bloom. Look at that sensational orchid. Look at those roots, even. They don't know where to go. Outside, gone. That orchid is about to crawl off that shelf. Amazing. And you've got me all, the background snoop. I'm being naughty now. What is going on? What inviting orchid beautiness is this? What a mess. What a wonderful mess. This is amazing. That's awesome. Anyway, back to the blooms. I just can't help it. Okay, I just gave my spiel away. Please don't be shy about submitting your blooms for the April Orchid Extravaganza. I promise, I will keep away from the backgrounds. Promise. Unless there's a little fur baby or something. Just kidding. I shouldn't be like this, but I love it. I love seeing the big picture. Anyway, here we go. More of this beauty. More of this one. Oh, here we go. We have the name. The vining orchid is Dinema. Amazing. Amazing. That is a creature. That thing looks like it's alive. It's about to crawl out of your case. Awesome. And all the roots for any orchid aficionado. Woo, roots. And this one is just stunning. This reminds me of something that could also be from Sunset Valley orchids. So then we have this one also with the water droplets. You know what water droplets do to my orchid blooms? Oh, this proves that the airflow is adequate. I mean, I cannot get water droplets on my velvety, Midnight Miracles Masai Mara without it doing damage, because when that happens, there's far too much airflow, or it just doesn't dry out fast enough because there is no airflow. So the water just sits there and saturates into the cells, causing some kind of blemishes and damages and deterioration far sooner than the bloom actually would. So when you see this I would only ever dare put water on my blooms in the summer, late spring, early summer into early fall. Otherwise, it's too dangerous. But then you see this, and then you know that the person knows what they're doing because it's all dialed in nicely. There's something so magical about any bloom that shows water droplets. Polybulbon, there you go. Dinema polybulbon, that thing that looked like a caterpillar in the background. Dinema polybulbon. And then I love angles like these as well. No pressure if you're submitting pictures, okay? Do you. Just when you submit, just do you. Go wild. I love the angles as well, but for your own visual, if you normally, you with your bloom, you look at it from the front. How many times have I discovered something with my own blooms when I approach them from the back? I know, boo, no. All the petals go, no, just kidding. Actually, all the sepals go, but anyway. I should do that with my little ghost orchid. Not the ghost orchid as such, but my Jumelia has the little ghost plumes just go boo right from the behind and see if that little spur goes higher. Just kidding. Anyway, back to this one. I love the angle as you come into the bloom from the side, and then you see how the petal has a sheen to it. The sepal, sorry. It's been a long time since I've openly spoken orchid. You see there's a sheen. And if you're not outside, or it's a little bit like you're not with the right lighting, you won't be able to appreciate this sheen, which is the reflection of everything that's going on. Beautiful, very satiny. It's so elegant. Sometimes I just also think that if I were in the fashion industry, I would take a lot of my inspiration for whatever material I would like to have sourced and use based on orchids and how the colors flow, the combination of colors that we would may not put together in a fashion industry as clothes in our closet, but when you see them on an orchid, it works. So why wouldn't it in fashion? And that's how I think if I were a tailor and had some say in something, a lot would go with what I see on orchids because it just works. It's magical. All righty. There are actually two different red cattleyas with no IDs. Okay. So we have one has a large frilly lips. The other is much smaller with the blooms with a touch of orange yellow in the lip. Both smell like roses. And who doesn't love that? So we may actually get to, and I just jumped around a little bit, but we're going back to something that looks, but isn't, but looks like the Caulocatlia chantilly lace. This one. Is this when the blooms just barely opened, or what are we looking at here? So let me look at it from the front. Because this looks like a different one. Excuse the silence there for a minute. I'm like, from what we saw before, which was a beautiful, like a vintage rosé blush across the blooms, and this one is very distinct in the colors of, this for me, this looks a little bit like we have a lot of Leopoldii or Warscewiczii in this bloom. It should be highly fragrant, this one, based on what it looks like. I mean, hey, with a honker like that in the nose there, that column, it's got a honker, it's actually asking you to do a little kiss, with your nose. Get in there close. You call her Ethel. I love that name. Actually, I really love that name. She's beautiful. But if she has a very beautiful, elegant rose fragrance with a hint of lemony, kind of lemon thing going on, like if you have buttercream lemon sort of thing with the rose together, if that's the case that she's possibly fragrant along those notes, then you may have yourself a Warscewiczii or something like that. Nobili, Cattleya nobili as well. Maybe, you never know. Anyway, so here they are together in harmony. Beautiful. The color splash is absolutely different and they're very similar. Yes, they are. It's almost like you've got one that is trying to be a pseudo chantilly lace. And then somebody went like, yeah, no, and snuck something else into the hybridization. It almost feels that way. Anyway, so yeah, Ethel, good grief, not just the name, but it really feels this way. I feel like I'm being punked. Chantilly lace punk, being punked here by one of those. And she has a bit of a Queenie as well. So is there Cattleya intermedia in her as well? Because she has the Queenie sides with the, almost pelor, sorts of things. If we really, really want to analyze all of this, could it be a Chantilly lace from another cross? It's possible. It's absolutely possible. And then we have a petal that's up there going, hey, hello. And the other ones are a little bit more reflex. But this one right here, you can see the petal like, whoa, Awesome. Absolutely awesome. When I opened this folder, I was like, no, I didn't reply to you. That's why I was like, I got to save these things in such a way that we're not going to lose the plot. Because I was losing the plot when I was opening your emails. I was like, focus, Nina. Anyway, so here we have the Oncidium that you were mentioning. It looks to me like has a lot of odontoglossum in it. Absolutely beautiful. Completely different alliance, but stunning, 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 stunning. Reminds me a little bit also of the lip of of it isn't but an Aliciara, a Peggy Ruth Carpenter kind of lip with all the spotting, the water falling and everything like that. It isn't because we don't have the star shape of the petals and the sepals. They're more round and broad, so it really gives me odontoglossum vibes. Fantastic. Oh, my colors, man. So many colors that are my colors, are right up my alley. I am so envious. Is that allowed in the orchid hobby? We should not covet, I know, but I am so envious. You have no idea. Oh, but I'm still here because of you. So we're going to keep pushing. We're going to do our best, get this channel up and running to such a degree where I can actually care for orchids so that they look the part, even if they bloom the part. Speaking of which, my Maxima, the first 3 buds are pushing out. Unbelievable. That would be her 3rd blooming. No, we're going to just barely skip past the 12-month calendar year before she blooms again, so it doesn't count. But still, so happy. Even though we lost a leaf to a massive windstorm, you're going to see a growth, a pseudobulb with blooms, if nothing gets chomped off, of course. I know, touch wood and all that business, but at least there will be blooms on it. So there's that. Alrighty, there's more. We are going to go to the next letter, which is it's just a spectacle of Phalaenopsis blooms that belong in a garden center that I feel deserve justice, even though people... How do I close this window, or don't I? I'm just going to leave you open? Okay, fine. Stop messing around. Oh, wait! No, we're not going to the phals yet. We've got a few more stunning little ones from the case that I do want to show you, just because. There's this one. Now, this is the smaller one, I'm starting to believe, not entirely sure. Little Cattleya that also has all the water droplets on it. Now, there's another one. Now, this one could be with the lighting being a little bit differently and zoomed in, if I'm not mistaken. And then I'm going to show you probably this one is exactly the same one from a different angle with a lot more zoom, or different approach, different, I don't know, something like that. Let me know if I'm misrepresenting your orchids, and if you need to correct me, please do so. But this is also what, when I just heard you back, when you said it was like a little bit orangey and yellow flares also in the lip, I believe this one would then be that one that you were referring to. These are also quite difficult to grow. They used to come, they used to, and they've still, many of them are called potinaras, but potinara as such is not a genus that is any more existent. That is null and void. But if you hear a potinara, it's much like Sophronites, gives you an idea of its care. But the potinaras are small in stature, but bigger, showier blooms. The only thing is, just because your orchid is small, we underestimate the need for calcium. So I have a care video just for potinaras, even though it's like I'm contradicting myself. Here I'm doing a care video just for potinaras, whereas the genus Potinara doesn't exist anymore. But because they're still on the label like that, and people get very disappointed with these tiny cuties, and they think they can't grow them, and there's a problem, that's why I have a video just on potinaras. So even if somebody says in the comments, this genus doesn't exist, I'm like, yeah. I know. The reason being, I just explained, a lot of calcium is what these are needed. Amazing. You would think it's impossible, but they need a lot. Absolutely. For those, let's say the orchid doesn't get much bigger than this. My face is already a little bit bigger than the actual orchid would be, and they actually grow. They're even like half my face in size, and that's why it's always very misleading. That you think, you got a miniature, be careful with the dosage. Not with this one. So if you see Potinara Carnevale Rio, for example, on the label, but you want to get it, you may see Cattleya Carnevale Rio, same thing. All right, because if people are keeping up with all the name changes, then they should be changing their labels, or if they bring them new onto the market for sale, the names should reflect the new name and not the old name. But I understand that many don't have time for that, and I forgive them, but that's what we're here for sometimes, to be able to put a little bit of perspective to all the name changes. And then there's this beauty. I do believe we're looking at the same one with the blooms a little bit more aged. Not entirely sure. Looking up into the camera for confirmation. Love it. Beautiful spike. This would remind me of a Catleanthus style. Just the spike going bolt upright, but it's probably not. It's probably the one we saw before, when the blooms are a little bit more open. And then we're going to O, as in, uh-oh, spaghetti-o, gorgeous-yo. Watch the transcript struggle with that word, gorgeous-yo. I love this. Now, this is not your grammatophyllum, I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Similar colors though, no? Similar colors. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Okie dokie. Right, so did I skip? Are we that far behind? Okay. I'm going to do something that I normally do not do, but I'm going to do it now because I'm not entirely sure what phase we are at. I know I've got 1:26. I know we've gone over almost, we're almost at an hour and a half. I get it. And I may just move your other ones, your Phalaenopsis, to the, if you don't hate me for it, Bob, I do want to show your Trias. We'll move that to April. I hope you don't mind. But there's something that's not quite jiving here. And I just want to make sure I haven't quite lost you. Because I am now I can see my message coming through on the device, but I am almost like 10 minutes, 5 minutes ahead of you. That's why it's weird. Anyway, so if you're seeing some kind of a mismatch with what I'm saying based on what you're typing, is that, thank you very much, Sunnyside. I appreciate that. Thank you. It's just that I didn't get a notification that we have even lost connection, which is great. I'm so happy to see that. But when I saw on my device here where we are at in the stream proper, as opposed to what I'm doing here, or vice versa. No, actually, you can log off at any time, and I'm like, ah! Thank you, Debbie. Thank you so much. Okay, so now are we doing like a catch-up thing, which is amazing. I don't mind. I don't mind. I just saw a bloom on my on real time, and I'm like, ah, what are we doing? And Gog and Talk is a genius name. Hey, plants and carrots. Yum. Yum. Good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you so much for taking a moment to jump in. Now, because we're already at an hour and a half, I'm going to save Robert's Phalaenopsis spectacle. I mean, it's like, what is going on here? You'd think he just went to a nursery and went, I'll take that picture, and that picture. Amazing. So we're going to enjoy those, because we're going to have probably a Phalaenopsis season coming up. If you submit your photos for April, many of them should be in bloom. Right? Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. My email is in the description. Okay, so now here we have, very, very easy for me to remember, because unfortunately I lost mine from the genus, not this orchid I have, but I did have a Trias as well, which is in the Fulbophyllum alliance. And this is Cambodia. Cambodianum? Cambodianum. I know I'd screenshotted your name list as well. Yeah, we're going to do the Restrepia in the next stream as well, because like I said, your folder is a whole beautiful show. All should be a stream, all just wingman's showcasing. Seriously. But you did I? Trias Cambodia. I didn't screenshot that name because I would remember it because I'm smart like that, or why? Anyway, Robert, this is Cambodia. And this reminds me of a Paphiopedilum, a beautiful little slipper orchid that would also be like a Bellatulum, right? I mean, if you think now into the slipper orchids with a big nose and the, that little pouch thing going on there and all the spottiness around it, it's like a little Bellatulum in small. And the lip isn't as wobbly. Anyway, I'm getting carried away. But I lost my Trias. I hope that you are enjoying growing this one. This one is also tiny. I mean, what are we doing? I'm sharing the wrong screen. My apologies. Maybe that's the mistake I made before. Woo, amateur hour. Ah, stop. I get it. I get it. I get it. I was still clicking around on things. I got it all wrong. I think we had a total blooms glitch there for about 10 minutes. That included my brain matter just went out. So there was about 10 minutes of blooms that had absolutely nothing to do with what was going on screen. And I completely glitched out there, went into orchid geek out mode and lost it. We're back. Sorry. Maybe I'm going to do a little bit more of repeat in our next bloom screen just to make all those corrections. Sorry. Oops. Don't mind me when I do research. This is the Trias Cambodia, right? Cambodianum, Cambodia. Anyway, from Cambodia. Cambodiana, there we go. There we go. Something Diana at the end. From Cambodia. We're back. Anyway, this is also a really tiny little one, and that is why it is extremely difficult to photograph. The slightest breath on this orchid and everything shifts. So you know what happens to your hands when you stop breathing and you're trying to focus? They get a little bit shaky. It just doesn't really bode well unless you get a tripod out and do all that stuff. They're very difficult to photograph, but I would say stunning. It gives us a great idea, at least, of these blooms. And oof, this is what attracted me to getting the Trias in the first place. And yay, mine did bloom. She sure did. And she was growing really well. She was, until, the 2 years, 3 years in my conditions in the winter, which she didn't like whatsoever. I mean, I knew I was taking a risk when I was getting her. I knew it. I just thought I could push the envelope. I pushed the envelope and she gone. But anyway, having said that, mine looked just like that. These chubby pseudobulbs, it's like, you just want to crack them and like edamame kind of thing. Love them. And those roots, translucent, just gorgeous. And by the way, mine smelt of freshly cut grass. So the question is yours fragrant, Robert? Asking, because I was so surprised about how beautiful that fragrance, the richness of the fresh cut grass was on mine. And a single bloom was quite potent. It was very pleasant, I must say. Hey, Narcos Clips, it's good to see you. Hope you're doing well. I hope you're staying safe, sir. Make sure. Narcos Clips and I are very involved in what is going on in the world currently. We've got a sincere, serious exchange of information from that side of the world with that side of the world, and somehow we're all trying to make sense of it, which we cannot. But that is Narcos Clips. By the way, I really appreciate you, sir, very much, assuming you are a sir. But anyway, I do appreciate you. It's helpful. So thank you very much for taking a moment to come in and say hi. I appreciate that. Yes, I have other interests other than orchids. While orchids take 90% of my time, 10% is dedicated to other things, believe it or not. And those 10% are being saturated by world affairs at the moment. So to see Narcos clips it's a real treat. Thank you. Much appreciated. Alrighty, now we have the scent profile, odd and spicy. Okay. Odd spice scent. Right. Which is better than anything else in the Bulbophyllum Alliance, right? Because, woo, stinky ones. Anybody interested in bulbophyllums, new to orchids? Look at my bulbophyllum dedicated video. I've made a huge selection of bulbophyllums that have a pleasant fragrance. Do not just go willy-nilly buying a bulbophyllum orchid because you think the bloom looks exotic without checking the fragrance profile first, because yikes and gross. Even the most avid orchid grower cannot walk past or deny that their beautiful, big, blooming, expensive bulbophyllum stinks to high heaven to such a degree it is nauseating, and sometimes you gotta rush to the bathroom bad. That bad. Seriously, not joking. Anything that attracts flies as its pollinators, yeah, you might want to be 100% sure that you know what you're buying. It's like having the corpse flower, but in orchid form, something like that. You've been warned. Now, my video that I also did a lot of research on, did my head in because I was reading all these pungent, nasty descriptions. I did find all the nicely and only recommended the nicely, the bulbophyllums that you can actually approach with confidence. Let's put it that way. That no gag reflex is going to occur. So check that one out as well. They're beautiful. They're an amazing species. The blooms, everything that orchids, exotic, weird, the evolution of a bulbophyllum bloom, why it does what it does, absolutely mind-blowing when you get into all of that. But yeah, that's why. And well, the suitables, great things. Okay, what else do you say? Robert says she just opened a new one this morning. That's great. These blooms are pretty long lasting, I'm assuming as well. My trias, my bloom would last 5-6 weeks without problem at all. And the lip, blah, 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 blah. Sorry. They got the wobbly lip. I played with mine a lot because it's the lip of these blooms are on two little hinges at the side, and you can just anyway. All of that is also in my bulbophyllum video because I'm like there with my finger, ding 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 ding. Okay. Then Sunnyside says, "Oh yeah, I have a mushroom that grows in my garden." Yeah, yeah. Then you know what I am talking about. Alrighty, we can scroll down a little bit more. This is the orchid here on its mount. Oh, there's 2 blooms there. That is also something I did not see on the first time when I opened. And look at the size of this thing. That is a thermos can, some kind of a thermos, beverage thermos, where that mount is propped on. Amazing. I love these little structures. Goodness me. Beautiful, Robert. Absolutely beautiful. Sensational. Can't, there's nothing to say here. We'll keep her there. YouTube keeps hammering ads and dropping your voice, so I'm missing some of what you're saying. Okay, what did you miss? Are we back? I have sent a strongly worded letter. Diane, I'm taking one from you. I love that. Not that they listen to me, but I have made several recommendations on their feedback page to say, if you're going to do ads, then, and you're doing side by side so that you're not missing out on whatever the stream is showing, whatever, at least put the ads on, but then get closed captions in place. If you're going to drop the sound, what's the point? What are you doing? Anyway, so yes, I'm trying. I try to suggest things to YouTube, but they just don't pay attention. They don't listen. Maybe they don't. Maybe they're so sick of me by now that they're actually not even giving me my comments anymore. Where we like, yeah, no, forget it. This woman, boom, shadow banned. I'm always like, hello, hello. Marketing feedback. It used to be my job, you know, you can't, some things you just can't, habits change. A bit difficult. All your pics are by hand with a Samsung phone. Okay, that's well done. Absolutely well done. Alrighty, and just to see if you missed the part, this is a canister of a beverage, some kind of a thermos canister, just because of the proportion. I'm trying to describe how small this orchid is and what it means to be able to photograph these blooms. So just to let me know if this is the canister size so that we can get some kind of a proportion. So yeah, okay. And then I'm just going to take her away while we wait for that answer. Stop. The other time, I was just going, like I said, Restream has changed its interface just enough to confuse somebody that thinks that they've got it all figured out. Yes, that would be me. Sometimes I feel as though I've got everything figured out, and then it's like, you know, the technology says, hold my beer. I'm like, oh, I don't drink that stuff, but go right ahead, whatever, you know. You do you. I'm just, you know, the pundit here. Anyway, so that being said, this was my first bloom extravaganza, your blooms here on Ninja Orchids instead of, you know, using the tab, the community tab. I just, like I said, I would really, really want to do this on a regular basis, as in the first Saturday of every month, and have our last Saturday of the month as our Q&A session. And then whatever happens in between, you know, a little bit of a flex there. We don't have to be so rigid. I am German, but that doesn't mean I adhere to German standards all the time. I do require them, yes. I have these attributes. German attributes are very, very embedded in my DNA. I will not deny that. But I grew up in Kenya and I now live in Spain. So that pretty much tells you that there's a lot of leeway until there isn't, in a nutshell. So let me just know what you would like to, if you have any questions about the care of these orchids that you did see, anything more specific. If I can't answer them in the comments, then I'm sure that the owners of these images will get back to you in the comment section. Maybe they're luckier than I am to be able to reply to your comments. And other than that, yeah, send in your pictures. Let's have a wonderful April live stream. Let me just, I like my standard settings because that also organizes my brain. But if the first Saturday would be on April Fool's Day, we're not doing that. So yeah, we're not doing an April Fool's Day bloom show. That's not going to work. No, it's actually on the 4th. Yay! My lucky number, 4. I love it. 4, 4. Ah, you guys, do you know how I do this? 4, 4 is already fantastic because 4 is my lucky number and it's 26. So 2 plus 6 is 8. Divided by 2 is 2 more 4s. Ah! Hey! I get all the 4s I can. I will squeeze a number in all sorts of shapes and sizes to see how many 4s are in that number. Anyway, so the 4th of July. I would love to see more of your blooms. I would love to be able to share them with you. I will also be better at putting links in the description of channels that I subscribe to that post bloom videos. So right now, because we featured Joe's blooms, his channel is in the description, but I know that Orchid Ninja Troy-san has had some sensational bloom videos. I will go get those, add them in there. So if too much math. You know, I am so not the mathematical person, but because of my dyslexia, it makes it very, very difficult. At least that's what I've told myself over all these years, these decades. But I do see in numbers sometimes. And somebody can say, how do you see that? And I'm like going, boom. huh? But that's what I do with numbers. I try to identify how many fours are in there. Anyway, so yes, the description will feature more videos for your perusal. And if you can, just, give them a like, give them a thumbs up. The orchid hobby is so niche down on YouTube. But we do this for a reason, for not just because we want to share our knowledge, but we also want to share our blooms. That's what this is all about. So send your blooms in, and I shall send out some spontaneous reminders. In the meantime, make sure that whatever happens between now and then, that you stay safe, that somebody has your 6, and that somebody has their 6 as well. That we do a chain reaction of having each other's 6s in this day and age. Okay? I'm not going to get too heavy on you, because these streams should also be evergreens. So I'm going to just leave it at that. But no, I'm thinking about you no matter where you are, and no matter what side of the fence you're sitting on. And if you're with me sitting on the fence, we're going to ride this out together the best way possible, okay? Just know that I'm thinking of you, and I'm getting goosebumps. Please stay safe, okay? That's the most important thing. Just stay safe. And thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate you. All right? And here come the waterworks, because let me just finish like this. I'm scared, okay? I'm just very fortunate to be living in Spain. And for now, the message from Spain is no. With that, I'll see you around, okay? Take care. Thank you for being here. Bye.